My Skeleton Crew review. For a Star Wars show, Skeleton Crew is one of the more enjoyable and thrilling shows in the Star Wars universe. Its basic and straight to the point premises made it one of the more perfectly written and crafted shows in the Star Wars universe. So, without further ado, let's begin our review.
Don't you ever want to do anything exciting? Like what?
Starting with the premise, Skeleton Crew is a TV series that narrates the adventures of four children from the planet of At-Aten: Wim, Neil, Fern, and KB, who accidentally entered a pirate ship and flew itself out of At-Aten. As At-Aten was proven very difficult to find and navigate, they received help from a mysterious man named Jot, who went by many fake names and aliases to assist them with the navigation. Their adventures were proven an endangering road as pirates alike wanted to scourge At-Aten for Old Republic credits. So now that you get the premises, let's focus on my appraisals and what I like about this show. What I like about this show is how simple and straightforward it is. As an adventure story, it leaves us with a lot of questions on where their adventures will go as the episode progresses, whether they will finally reach home as all these questions endure and revolve. All these elements suit the entertaining adventure and narration of the movie. For every episode, we also see them struggling to find a way in the long road, the long journey ahead, learning to trust and maintain their stand in a cruel world, a cruel galaxy beyond their home or their planet, facing distrust and betrayal. To me, when it comes to an adventure, adventure is about going forward to a journey. With so many of these questions, these fears, these stakes revolving around what we need to learn throughout this adventure, and this show is the best explanation of that. We can think of that in similar movies from the 80s, such as Treasure Island and Back to the Future. And say, did I say 80s for a second there? Yes, I must be astonished to say that they have a lot of these unexplainable elements that make these movies so 80s, and also that Tomorrowland details in that happen that most Star Wars fans don't find it familiar with, or perhaps find it unusual to be placed in a Star Wars movie. And nevertheless, it also makes the movie more adventurous while also putting a lot of inspiration and details from various adventure movies and works from the 80s. And one could heavily say that this can be hard to say that this is actually a Star Wars show. It can be a bit of both. It can be both that it's actually a Star Wars show, it really is a Star Wars show, and the other being that it's kind of hard to believe that it is a Star Wars story. Like, is this really Star Wars? A show with not a single main storyline lore, a show that delves into a whole new world, a show without lightsabers and much about those blasters. Well, of course, Star Wars is about traveling and seeing new worlds, seeing new species of animals. But this show in particular, it gives a whole new perspective, a whole new view of this galaxy far, far away. Something I don't expect in Star Wars, but nonetheless is an amazing addition and choice from the showrunners on how they are going to present these elements and this whole new world that is perhaps beyond that is stated in the main storyline. And of course, what is not to love about this show than the characters? All the main characters in this show, to me, are very likable, they are very grounded, which makes it more human, and nonetheless, the side characters also pave way to support the show very well. This show as a whole brings a new feat to the Star Wars franchise, and being a new feat, I could say that it's actually a great world, and very personally to say that it's actually quite better than most of the main storyline shows or the main storyline lore movies that we've seen in the Star Wars franchise. So that's one of the greater appraisals that I have for this show. So now let's get over to some of the criticisms that I had. As I stated, this show is thoroughly entertaining and had me buckled up in my seat, hence my bet as I watched the movie. I found all episodes to be very enjoyable and proper serving to their roles. To be honest, it's really hard to find some criticism in this show. But if I were to recognize one, I would describe that there can be some teeny bit of their method of dismissal in the characters. Maybe it's quite complicated for certain audiences to understand, but there are some scenes of characters shifting to a new characterization or personality, or characters not being able to move into further episodes, or nonetheless characters that may perhaps be dismissed from the show in a way that did that character really change like that? Or why haven't or can't we hear more or see more about that character? These sort of things that can perhaps trap our mind and nevertheless keep the show interested in our perspective as an audience on certain moments. It's probably something that I have in mind. It may be different for others, but when it comes to the criticism, I find that maybe some of the dismissals here are perhaps maybe out of bounds at times. I get that it's an adventure movie and that not everything can be presented or perhaps demonstrated or presented directly in the show, as they need to focus on the main point and the main flow of the TV show, which is about an adventure on finding their way back home. Now it's the great time to discuss my favorite characters and how I will rank them. I love all and every character as every episode progresses. The main characters are easy to love and they are not forgettable. They each have their moment to shine and has different roles, so you can differentiate them not just by their looks but also by their character and their personality. And I must say, for characters who don't have a lot of significance to the Star Wars main storyline or the Star Wars movies, these characters, in my opinion, are very memorable than most main Star Wars characters in the movies. So, if I were to rank these favorite characters from great to good, my favorite character would be Jot Not Wood, and I believe many fans will agree to me to that point. Yeah, it can be quite of a tongue twister to say his name, but Jot Nanawut is easily one of my personal favorites, and he's such a cool character. In his first scenes, he can be pictured as this typical stranger who one could find in all parts of the galaxy. But as the show progresses, we can see a whole lot about the character that we can find interest in. And what I like about his characterization is his fitting description of a stranger and nevertheless a pirate. A person no one should trust completely or not trust at all. And nevertheless, his bad qualities in his characterization and his role really captivates his character seriously and easily. And this character is not something we often see in the Star Wars universe, or perhaps a character that we don't often see demonstrated well in Star Wars works. My second favorite character is Fern. I like her character because she is bold and nevertheless firm with her guts and her opinions. To me, her adventurous, loyal, and brave character says a lot about her character as a whole. Her complex character really fits the arc of a coming of age that learns to grapple the responsibility and empathy for her companions. To add that, she is proven to be a great leader, a great captain to the crew, who is able to compel so much emotion and goals, a character who is able to fit in reasons and stay true to her decision, making her one of the best written characters in Star Wars and nevertheless one of the most bold Star Wars characters at her age. My third favorite character is Neil. I must admit, I thought he would be just some comic relief sidekick in the show, but as the show went on, he became one of the most amazing characters that is just beyond a comic relief. I like that he is a very lovable goofball who takes matters seriously in his own hands and nevertheless show a more compassionate side to his friends and nevertheless his enemies that he's going to meet. We can discover that this caring character in him has charisma, but also limits, doubts, and nevertheless a character who develops bravery and an innocent balancing eye on issues and matters where he could be the voice of reason. And overall, he was indeed a good friend who never talked down on his friends and who would do anything to ensure that their adventures will land on safe hands. My fourth favorite character would be Wim. As the main character of the main characters, I can wholeheartedly say that Wim's character is able to serve a great character arc to a coming of age story similar to Fern and also Neil. From his background, we can see that he wants to do more than just going to school and taking tests that determines his future. He wants to find his own future and his own adventure. He wanted to do all those things, discover new things as he learns curiously about the galaxy far, far away. But like all coming of age stories, Wim has a lot to learn and realize. He slowly learns the weight of his actions and mistakes and came to the reflection of what the real world is like and why the real world is not what he thinks he is. And this serves well for a coming of age movie and is easily one of the better main characters in a coming of age adventure movie in the Star Wars franchise. My last favorite character will be KB, with her knowledge and roles in technology in the show. A good character, but the reason why she's not in the higher ranking as the other characters is because I don't really find her character complex, but nevertheless I find her character very enjoyable as well as the others. There was a scene where we can see her struggles living up to her friends' expectations, trying to do everything for them, but knows that she can't do anything and nevertheless have the premonition that she can't be good with anything without them, and that's her highlight. And nonetheless, her character came to a good resolve like all characters, even though that her character is not complex. Again, we can still find her character enjoyable. The show is filled with a lot of amazing characters, and as we went on trip to trip, planet to planet, we see a whole new gravity in the characters that came to the conclusion that the road back home, and nevertheless, that reflects the journey, the adventures in life, is very complex and very takes a very big weight in their responsibility. And nevertheless, they have to change and step up to survive in a galaxy far more dangerous than their own. So, to my verdict, this show is very enjoyable and thrilling with every adventure they went into to find a way back home, survive, and not get each other killed. This show demonstrated one of the better directions and story in the franchise, even when it doesn't have anything to do with the main storyline of the Star Wars franchise. Its amazing characters are one to take note of. I would rate this series at a quick 9.8 out of 10, and I would rate its level of entertainment by 9.5 out of 10. You'll totally like this series if you are a regular audience like me, who is not really a heavy fan into Star Wars or Star Wars lore, but looking into a fun and thrilling experience which the show provides. But of course, if you are a heavy Star Wars fan, I think you'll really like this show. No kidding.
Don't give up, no matter what.
And there goes my Skeleton Crew review. Do take note that this is highly my opinion, so if you have differing opinions about this show or anything you would like to say, please let me know in the comments down below. And nevertheless, don't forget to check my other TV show review before Skeleton Crew, which is Creature Commandos, which is a TV show that I also highly recommend to all of you. That is all from me. Don't forget to subscribe for more TV show reviews and movie reviews, especially that there will be the Captain America, Brave New World, Fantastic Four, Thunderbolts, and the Superman movie coming soon. And I cannot wait for all of those movies. I'm really having high expectations for those movies, so I can't wait to share my opinion to you when the movies are out. That is all from me. My name is Ryu Fatsupano. Don't forget to like and subscribe, and voila!